Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, June 20th, 2024. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday, Major League Baseball. First up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Washington Nationals. We got a few afternoon games for the Thursday card. This is one of them. Ryan Nelson and Mackenzie Gore are the projected starters. Now, I do think that while the Diamondbacks have hit lefties very well this season, Mackenzie Gore is still the much better option on the mound in this game. Now, Ryan Nelson has struggled. We know he's struggled at Chase Field in his career, but even on the road this year, he hasn't been much better. It's still an ERA of 5.19 in 26 innings of work. Opponent's batting average in the 300s. Now, Nelson in the month of June has been decent. His ERA is just above 4. His last game was a really solid outing, 6 innings of one run ball with 8 strikeouts. However, that was against the Chicago White Sox. Now you're facing the Nationals. We know they've been one of the more profitable teams in baseball. Gore has pitched well this year, even though he's been a little bit better on the road than at home. I still think he'll pitch well in this game. I'm going to lean towards the Nationals in this one on the money line, but I do think it'll be a pretty close one. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Luis Castillo and Logan Allen are your starters. Logan Allen, while it's been a tough season for him, he's actually pitched really well recently. His last 2 games, 11 innings combined of 3-run baseball, so trending in the right direction. And now you got Luis Castillo on the other side. We've mentioned the inconsistencies. He's still considered one of the better pitchers in the American League and being priced as if he's one of the better pitchers in the American League. But I think that the Mariners are overvalued in this one, and I like the Guardians. I think Cleveland can get to Castillo for a few runs. I think it's going to be a pretty close game through the middle innings, but I like the Guardians' bullpen better. I think this is the best bullpen in baseball. I like the fact that Cleveland's a team that doesn't strike out much, unlike the Mariners, and a team that can rally in deficits late, and they're a good team in the late innings. So I'm going to go with the Guardians in the money line in this game. I think they grab the W. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Minnesota Twins. Zach Littell and Simeon Woods Richardson are your starters. Zach Littell giving up a lot of base hits recently, and that's resulted in a lot of sharp contact, a lot of home runs, at least one in each of his last 5 games. 6 earned runs in that last one against the Braves, and the Rays are now 1-4 in his last 5 starts. Now you got to look at the teams he's faced. He's faced a pretty tough strength of schedule. The Braves last game, the Orioles back-to-back starts. He faced the Red Sox back on May 21st. But I still don't love how he's pitching recently. While Woods Richardson also wasn't great in his last game, he's actually been pretty profitable recently. The Twins are 4-1 in his last 5 starts. So even if Woods Richardson gives up a run or two, I think the Twins will be able to back him up in the run support department. I think the Twins have the much better bullpen in this game. So I'm going to go with the Twins on the money line in this one. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Chicago White Sox. We're going to see Chris Flexen for Chicago, no official starter for Houston. Chris Flexen still has that ERA above 5 on the season. That last game against the Diamondbacks, he was pitching well going into that one, but in 3 1/3 innings against Arizona, gives up 4 earned runs, 6 total runs, a home run to go with it. You got the Astros in the last 30 days, number 10 in baseball in team OPS against righties, top 15 or top 10 in isolated power against righties, low strikeout rate to go with it. I think Houston, we'll have to see who the official starter is, but I think they'll have the better starting pitcher on the mound. I do think they have the better bullpen and the much better lineup. So I got to go with the Houston Astros on the money line and run line in this one. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Colorado Rockies. We're going to see Gavin Stone and Ty Blach as the projected starters. Ty Blach's been pretty solid at Coors Field this year. He's got a 4.65 ERA overall this season, but at Coors, an ERA below 4, 3.76. A 3-2 winning record in 38 1/3 innings with a sub-300 opponent's batting average, which is pretty impressive for any Coors Field starter. Now, Gavin Stone, he's pitched well this year. He's got a 3.01 ERA. He's got a nice 7-2 winning record, but he is a young pitcher making his first major league start at Coors Field in his career. No Coors Field experience for Stone. We know that's tough for a lot of these young pitchers. We saw another talented young starter in Jared Jones. He was pitching really well this year. He was, in solid form going into that game. But we mentioned it wasn't a great spot for any young pitcher, and Jones got crushed in that one. To me, the value lies with the Rockies in this game. I know the Dodgers have been really tough in this series, and that comeback in the second game of the series was unbelievable. But I got to go with the Rockies in this one, plus the 1.5 runs in the money line. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Oakland Athletics. We see Seth Lugo and Mitch Spence as the projected starters. Seth Lugo's had a pretty tough strength of schedule. The Dodgers, Yankees, Guardians, and Twins the last 4 games. He's been able to keep that ERA pretty low at 2.4, though, still on the season. He had his struggles here and there in that Yankees start in the Guardians game as well, but he still went 6 and 7 innings. He's a guy that usually gives the Royals at least 6 innings, but a lot of times 7, 8 innings because he's a very efficient starting pitcher. Doesn't necessarily strike out a lot of guys, but can get outs and get out of jams as well. And Mitch Spence on the other side, I do think he is better than his current ERA, but we've also seen that, recently starting to give up a lot of base hits and base runners. 9 base hits against the Twins, 9 of them against the Mariners back on June 4th. Gave up a home run that game against Minnesota in the last one. And while it's not necessarily his fault in all of these games, it's the fact of the matter is the Oakland A's are 1-4 in his last 5 starts, and 3 of those losses were extra innings losses. It goes to show you what was a really strong bullpen at the beginning of the season, starting to fall off a bit, towards at this point in the year. Guys like Mason Miller especially, who were absolutely untouchable, starting to give up some runs. And I do think while the Royals bullpen also has its regression concerns, it makes it a lot more of a level playing field in terms of that department. I think the Royals have the much better starting pitcher and lineup to go with it. So that's why I'm going to take Kansas City in this game on the money line. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the New York Yankees. Cole Irvin and Luis Gil are your starters. To me, a lopsided pitching matchup. I think Gil's the much better option here. I got to go with the Yankees laying the run line here at home. Even though they've been better against righties and lefties, they've still been competitive against lefties. And Cole Irvin, to me, I just think he's on regression watch. We saw it against the Braves where right away, the first 3 hitters for Atlanta, I think it was single, double, double, or something like that. 2 runs scored in the first inning, and he ended up giving up 3 runs, 3 earned runs, 4 total runs, 9 base hits in that 6-3 Braves win. And, he's given up a lot of base hits recently, 9, 8, 8. A lot of base runners. The Yankees, we know, can take advantage of that, and I think they will. And, Luis Gil has been excellent this year for New York. He has been a winning machine. The Yankees win a large majority of his starts. Great strikeout numbers. This is going to be one of his toughest matchups of the season, similar to that Dodgers game where, he gave up 3 runs in 5 2/3 innings. The Orioles have crushed righties this year. In the last 30 days, they're number 1 in OPS and ISO, even better than the Yankees in the last month against righties. But I still think Gil does a good enough job here to keep the Yankees in it, win this game. I think the bats will do the talking. Give me the Yankees on the run line. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Keaton Winn and Andre Palante are your starters. And this game is going to be at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama. It's going to be at the oldest professional ballpark in the United States, established in 1910, the former home of the Birmingham Black Barons in the Negro League. So a special game here between the Giants and Cards. This is a tough one, and from a betting perspective, I think these are 2 starting pitchers that are kind of tough to read right now. I do think Palante is a slightly better option. When you look at the lineups, 2 similar lineups as well. The bullpens, I do think St. Louis has a slightly better bullpen, but we've mentioned the Giants in terms of the expected numbers. Their bullpen's up there as well. I think it's going to be a competitive game, a fun one to watch. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis in this one, but I'll be watching more as a fan. And the final game for the Thursday card in Major League Baseball is the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Diego Padres. Bryce Wilson and Adam Mazur are your projected starters. Now, even though Mazur struggled a bit in terms of the control, and not just a bit, he struggled a lot with his control in that last game against the Mets. He had 6 walks given up in 3 2/3 innings. I still think it was a step in the right direction. He had 4 strikeouts in those 3 2. He was pretty competitive on the mound. It was a low-scoring game. I believe it was 0-0 through the first 3 innings or so. And I think he continues to improve his game. He's still one of the better pitching prospects for the Padres. I like him in this spot. I think he's going to get the run support against Wilson. Wilson pitched well in that last one, but we know before that game, 7 earned against the Tigers, 3 earned against the Phillies in 5 2/3, 3 earned against the Cubs in only 4 innings of work. So he has started to regress after a hot start to the season. I'm going to go with San Diego in this game on the money line at Petco Park. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.